I was watching the Winter Olympics, and I was looking at some of the outdoor events such as downhill ski racing, cross country skiing, slaloms, freestyle, ski jumping, and all the various things that take place in snow. And it looks beautiful from looking at it from the TV's point of view. And it seems everything is all well and good because the competitors, they ski on it and they get through it. A few crash, but they crash regardless. Just hope that they do okay, they don't, and that they're not mortally wounded because of their crashes. So far, so good. But I didn't realize that a lot of what they're skiing on as the skis glide in the snow, going at speeds approaching 80 miles an hour and even more than that, that a lot of the snow is man-made. That essentially the snow that we see has been churning or been made by machines churning all during the night. And they've been building up this snow so you can have this competition. And I've read in an article that more and more places that would normally field the Olympics will find it increasingly difficult, if not impossible, to hold a Winter Olympics because you need snow. And there are fewer and fewer places that have snow. Look at our place, Southern California. This is February. And it's not like we haven't had any rain. We've had since the 1st of January, and it stopped. But we still have just about as much rain as we'd have during an entire season. 14.2 inches of rain. Essentially, it fell between the months of October and January. Now we had a little rain yesterday or a little bit today. But if you look at the mountains, usually they are covered with snow. And of course, the ski resorts up in the mountains are happy. People are coming, flocking, skiing, staying, and so on. It feels good. But if you look towards the mountains, even if there's been a dusting of snow last night and today, that's all it is, a dusting. It's not the snow that goes almost all the way down to the bottom of the mountains. You don't see those. Now, maybe it's a one-time thing, because maybe a year or two ago when it also rained, you did see that snow coming down there. In fact, the snow that we had in the Sierras was so much that it caught up and even surpassed the normal amount that we would need to get through the summer. That's California, though. And we'll talk about something else that has actually become more dire. But we can see that you got 80-something degree days in January. Now, that's not unheard of, but it doesn't happen a lot. At the most, it would normally be in the 70s, and at the highest, usually 60s, sometimes lower. February, is usually, again, one of the colder months of the year where a lot of the rains fall. So we expected this rain to come. And it's supposed to be more coming besides by the time next Sunday, Monday rolls around. But who knows how much it's going to be? And who knows whether it's going to be a decent amount of snow or will it just be rain? See, rain goes down the mountain, gets in the rivers, and eventually goes into the ocean. Much of it's not even used. It just goes right into the ocean. Snow is like your savings. It collects on a mountain. Of course, you know it's snow where snow is not frozen water, but it's a type of water that forms crystals. But it's still water. So when it melts, it adds to whatever water is available. If it doesn't melt until April, May, and June, then you have water you can tap into that will be available to replenish what's been taken out. So that the hot summer months, you still have plenty of rain or plenty of water. That's how California works. So if you don't have as much snow, then looking towards the summer, you may get in trouble. Which seems to be the issue. Not with Southern California per se, or Central Northern California per se, but most definitely with the Colorado River Basin. They say there hasn't been this little snow on the mountains surrounding this basin. There hasn't been that little snow since the 1980s, 40 years ago. And that was when there was less people, less crops, less strains on the water supply. And we don't know whether the rain or lack of it, well, no, they are attributing the lack of snow because it's been going on now for some time. The tendency is less and less snow. So because of that, they are blaming that on climate change. And yes, I do believe in climate change. I believe that essentially we have tilted the balance towards the warming of the planet. And I believe that essentially we're going to pay some repercussions because of it. It may not be in places starving of water will have to be abandoned. I was thinking if we have no water, then LA would have to be abandoned. You can't stay here anymore because there's not enough water for the city. You have to remember there are 10 million people, I believe, in LA County alone. Not to mention the other areas like Orange County, Riverside County, San Bernardino County, Ventura County, that are also impacted by all this. Now, I'm finally going to say this is Elder Adrian Hammond. And the reason why I'm talking about this is because all these things, I believe, have to take place. That God is allowing these things to happen for it to fulfill prophecy. The question, though, is, Do we delay it by putting mitigating factors, by changing our dependence on fossil fuels? Or do we just allow prophecy to go on? You have to understand, prophecy is said, but it doesn't mean it has to happen at that time. Plenty of times in the Old Testament, because people repented, what was supposed to be fulfilled in their lifetimes got pushed down the road. And if their son actually followed the Lord, or those people followed the Lord, their children, then whatever was prophesied against them was pushed forward again. But then when you end up in a generation that doesn't know God, then that's when the judgment falls. In essence, it's there to warn us, but in many times it's pushed back to when it's most appropriate to punish those who forsook God. We have to come face to face with the fact that in a few years, well, actually it's not a few years, it's already started, but in a few years there may be significantly less water in the Antarctic ice cap and the Greenland ice cap. That's one of the reasons why Trump, our president, wants Greenland. He knows it's only ice there, but in his thinking, he's thinking, if we believe that the globe is warming up, that means the ice cap of Greenland will melt. And if it melts, we can grab the minerals that are there and claim it for ourselves. All the rare earth minerals that we've been clamoring about, which are mostly mined by China, which is very interesting that they have gotten so proficient at extracting rare earth minerals that now they're the one that everybody goes to. So you see, climate change has also become political. Again, with the Arctic Ocean becoming less and less full of ice, ships can go up through the Arctic Ocean, take shortcuts to other places, whereas they have to go all the way around the globe otherwise. That's another thing. In other words, there are changes that are going to be made. And it's come to a point of no return, I believe. Things are going to happen. Doesn't mean our man's going to be wiped out, but it's going to be much harder for certain areas of the globe. Either drought will drive them away and leave entire cities abandoned, or the weather will be more extreme and leave certain coastlines susceptible to monster hurricanes, typhoons, cyclones, all the same thing, that hit repeatedly in the same spots. Again, leaving that part of the world uninhabited, because you can't keep repairing things that come now on an annual basis. The thing here, what I'm talking about, and if I'm going to make a conclusion, the conclusion is simply this. If we do not or refuse to give honor to God and thank Him for the resources that He's given us on this earth and manage them correctly, then we only have ourselves to blame when judgment falls. And God can use what man is doing as his own judgment. You have to understand that too. God doesn't have to throw fire out of the sky or hurl thunderbolts or anything of that particular nature to get his work done. Often he used man to carry out his judgment. And it looks like he'll do it again. But we can help. We can change certain things. It depends on just, do we have the impetus to do it? Or we're just tired? But you can always rest later. You can always rest later. But we should do what the Lord had commanded us to do in the first place. Take care of our planet. Take care of this land. And stop trashing it. May God bless you and may he keep you. And yes, you can consider this a public service announcement. Love you all. God bless you in Jesus' name.